The character that we're going to be talking about today is Uncle Zed, and oh my God, you guys, talk about a big, strong energy. Uncle Zed has always been one of those very forceful energies. He showed up in the first incarnation, and again, he showed up out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he was coming out of my fingers onto the page. And I have this funny story about one of my beta readers. When she first read the story, she was like, you got to have a crazy relative like this because he's so colorful and so distinct. And I was like, no, that's the energy that's showing up. That's what wants to be expressed, and that's what I'm letting loose on the page. For those of you that don't know, Uncle Zed is Sulan's eccentric uncle. He suffers from severe PTSD from being captured and tortured as a young man. And this experience is so horrific and so traumatic that it shapes the landscape of the rest of his life in a very, very tragic way. Now, I'm definitely gonna move into spoilers here. So if you have not read book 4, I definitely recommend you turn off the video and come back. I saw very early on, actually in book 1, that Zed was going to have a really big character arc in the second incarnation of these stories. I didn't know where it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be a big one, and it was going to be about drug abuse and addiction as a result of the PTSD trauma. And it cropped up in book 4 as I was working on. I was like, okay, here it is. This is what we're working with, and I went with it. Because like I said, I knew it was coming, and I was humming along, and I was writing. And it's interesting because my brain thought I knew exactly where the story was going, and I was going in that direction. And all of a sudden, as I was writing, the story went this way, and Zed died. Like, I had no idea he was going to die, and I always cry when my characters die. It's always really sad. And as I was sitting there kind of looking at the carnage, like, oh my God, Zed just died. How did that happen? And I remembered in the original incarnation of the series, like, oh fuck, he died in the first one too. I'd forgotten that he died. And I realized, oh, this is part of the energy that wants to be expressed, right? The story about PTSD and deep trauma, and how it tragically results in death and loss. And that was the thread that wanted to come through. That was the story. So even though I didn't want to kill Zed, and I definitely could have written more stories with him, this was what he wanted, and so we did it. So when you're reading Uncle Zed, maybe just say a little prayer for him that his soul finds the peace that he needs with this story.